From Kern Government Television, welcome to this week's Kern County Board of Supervisors meeting, originating from the County Administrative Center located at 1115 Truxtun Avenue, Bakersfield, California. Kern County's vision is to create and maintain a customer-centered county government designed to garner the confidence, support, and trust of the people we serve. Today's Kern County Board of Supervisors meeting will convene momentarily.
Good afternoon and welcome to our PM session on this, the 4th day of August, 2018. The board will reconvene. Madam Clerk, would you please call the roll?
Supervisor Gleason. Supervisor Scrivener.
Here.
Supervisor Maggard.
Here.
Supervisor Couch.
Here.
Supervisor Perez.
Here.
We have a report on actions that were taken in closed session, but I want to make a report first that today in closed session the board concluded, let me start over, this is an important announcement. Today in closed session, the board concluded their recruitment for county council due to Mark Nation's retirement in December of this year. After a careful selection and interview process, the board voted to select Margot Razan as our current chief deputy county council. I don't think that sentence made sense. We have chosen Margot Razan to be our new county council. Okay, that's the easier way to say it. Isn't that good? That's good news. She will assume responsibilities as county council on October the 28th. The board wishes to thank the candidates that applied for the position, a very, very talented pool of candidates, of attorneys, expressed their interest in coming to work here at the county, and we want to tell them thank you very much for their interest. They were stellar applicants, but we have decided to go with Ms. Razan. We want to congratulate her on her selection, and we look forward to her leadership and enthusiasm that she'll bring to the role. She is away on business that was pre-scheduled today, so she's not here to make comment, but next time we meet, she will be sitting in the county council's chair covering for Mr. Nations, and I will offer her an opportunity then to say something to us as we proceed that day. So congratulations to Ms. Razan, and we look forward to her leadership and guidance in the future. Mr. Nations, do you have any other report for us on actions taken in closed session?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. The item you just reported on was agendized earlier as item 69. The board also met in closed session on items 67, 68, and 70, and there were no reportable actions taken in any of those. Thank you.
Thank you. We're going to deal with our consent agenda first. At the back of the room are copies of agendas. If you would like to have one, you can follow along with us that way. Consent items are indicated by a CA above the item on the agenda, each agenda number. They're considered to be routine and non-controversial by staff. Occasionally people have questions or there is more controversy than we anticipate. If you have a question about that, I'm going to turn to the public in a moment and allow you to ask questions about items that are on consent, and then it'll be up to a member of the board as to whether or not those items are pulled. Any items pulled from consent, that's a board member decision. So let's go through and identify what those consent items are, first of all. Beginning on page 2, items 3 through 6. On page 3, items 7 through 14. On page 4, items 15 through 20. On page 5, items 21 through 24. On page 6, all the items 25 through 31. On page 7, all the items 32 through 40. On page 8, all the items 41 through 47. And then on page 9, not item number 48, that is not on consent, but items 49 through 56 are on consent. Are there any members of the public that have a question or a comment about any item on consent? Okay, please come forward. Anybody else besides Mr. Fox? Okay. Mr. Fox, can you give us your name for the record, and then is there one item or more than one item that you want to ask about?
Pardon?
Do you want to ask about one item or more than one item?
Well, it was items 15, 21, and 22.
Okay.
And it's
Go ahead.
Rhetorical, but I do have a question.
Okay.
I'm Dennis Fox, and those have to do with zones of benefit, and particularly number 7. And I would like to make sure, and I would like it in the record, that none of that funding, the special funds for zone of benefit number 7, are going to improvement district number 4. And we're in urban Bakersfield, though it uses 1/8 of the water, pays 7/8 of this county's water bill through these zones of benefit. And with the Lawyers Full Employment Act and the Consultants Full Employment Act of the Delta tunnels, that's going to be in the billions. And it's not being paid by the state. It's going to end up being paid for by urban Bakersfield. And this is a chance for you guys to go down in history as the people that have doubled and tripled our county taxes. And it's something to think about. I have sent a letter on this. That's why I'm expanding on that.
Okay.
In the letter, I'm sorry for the run-on sentences, but I did try to get it on one page.
Very good.
Okay, thank you.
We'll look for the letter. Thank you, Mr. Fox. Any other members of the public have a comment or question about an item on consent? Okay, I'll return to the board then. Colleagues, do you wish to pull anything, or is there a motion to approve the consent agenda?
Motion on consent?
Thank you. Is there a second? We have a second. Please cast your votes.
Second.
The motion is approved, 4 ayes, 1 absent. Supervisor Gleason.
Thank you. We're going to move public presentations to the end of our agenda today. And now return to the board. Do any board members have a report or announcement they'd like to make to the board or the public? Okay. Then let's go on. Then the item that is not on consent was item number 48. It's on page 9 of our agenda. It is a proposed increase in salary range for Human Services Techs 1, 2, and 3 positions. And who is going to make our presentation? It's under the CAO's office, Mr. Brown, Devin Brown. Mr. Brown, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Chairman, members of the board. The item before you is a proposed increase in salary range for the classifications titled Human Services Technician 1, Human Services Technician 2, and Human Services Technician 3. Those 3 classifications are part of a flexible classification series that resides with our Human Services Department. They are some of our workers that handle the eligibility side of the work for human services and certainly put in difficult duties and assignments for that office and department. For a number of years, the department has struggled to recruit and retain employees in that classification series. They have what's called a trainee level, the first level, which is a six-month trainee program that they have had even difficulty keeping people in that program for 6 months. It's very difficult work dealing with the customers and clients of that department and the difficulty of the issues related to benefits and eligibility for those benefits. The department has had also difficulty in the last couple years and even beyond that, retaining employees higher up in that classification series. We went back and did a turnover study for that particular classification. And what we look at turnover, we're looking at employees who voluntarily resign or leave through on their own recognizance to gauge how many employees are we losing and the talent that we're losing. And what we found was that it was a very high level of turnover compared to most classifications. It's roughly about 15% annually in turnover, which is probably double what a normal turnover rate would be in any classification for the county, with the exception of a few others. So we do have difficulty retaining employees longer term in this job field. And one of the things that we agreed to this past year with SEIU, the representing union of this classification series, is to review those types of classifications that we do have difficulty retaining and recruiting people within, to review the classification and compensation for those classifications. So we sat down this past winter and early spring and met with the union and discussed this particular classification series. We did what we call a compensation salary study, which compares our compensation to like positions within our comparable counties to determine where we are in the comparable labor market for this type of work. What we found was that we are somewhere between 13 and 20% below the average for each of these classifications. And so we met with SEIU to determine, okay, with that in mind and other circumstances related to our difficulty to retain people, what could we do to improve the status of this position and help the department keep employees that they've trained, spent a lot of money on developing and improving over the course of their brief careers with the Human Services Department. What can we do to make sure that we are at least moving in the right direction to fix that issue? So what we're proposing before your board collectively with SEIU's concurrence is an increase in about 7.5% in the entry-level position and an increase in 10% in the second and third levels. And so that's what we call a salary range adjustment. So the salary range itself increases. The employees currently in those classifications would only receive what we believe is about a 5% increase for the 2 and 3 levels and a 7.5% increase for the entry level, which is only a 6-month term. So the total net impact to the county budget is roughly a little over $2 million, which 96% or 94% of that is non-general fund. That's funded through state and federal resources that the Department of Human Services has for a number of its programs. So this total program on average is about 6% general fund, which roughly at the highest level would amount to about a $350,000 net general fund increase. We've been working with our budget staff and Human Services budget staff to make sure that this amount is folded into this year's budget, and we've successfully done that. So the budget that you see in a couple weeks will have this included in that as well. So we believe that this will accomplish a number of objectives. One, it will get us closer to the market average and will improve the salaries for the employees in this position where we feel we can with it being largely and non-general fund impact. Additionally, there is external factors that we looked at. These positions are very low wage positions, and as you're aware, the state adopted a new minimum wage law a few years ago, which will provide for a $15 minimum wage in 2022. And these positions will be impacted before that period of time by that increase in minimum wage. So we will essentially be increasing these position salaries in the future anyways. So we are addressing that issue now with this particular proposal before you, and that they won't be impacted by any increases in the minimum wage between now and 2022. Additionally, we hope to be able to retain our talent investment in this position and improve the living and working conditions of our employees. There's roughly about 500 employees that work for the Department of Human Services that will be impacted by this change. We've worked considerably with Dina Murphy, Director of Human Services, to make sure that this is a proposal that will benefit her operational impact, and I believe she's in concurrence with this. She's also here if you have any questions related to this proposed impact. So what we're asking and recommending to your board is that you do approve the proposed salary range adjustments for the classification of Human Services 1, Human Services 2, Technician 2, and Human Services Technician 3, which will become effective August 18th of 2018, which is this Saturday, and take effect in the next paycheck following that particular pay period. I'd be happy to answer any questions that your board may have, and as I stated, Ms. Murphy is here as well.
Very good. Thank you. Colleagues, any questions before we go to the public? Any members of the public wish to make comment to us this afternoon about this item? Okay, we'll close the public opportunity. And Ms. Murphy, do you need to say anything, or are you good with the explanation? You're fine. Okay. Just didn't want to deny you if you wanted to do it. Okay, return to the board. Colleagues, what are your thoughts? Recommended action is to approve and refer to Human Resources Division to amend the position and salary schedule.
Motion on staff's recommendation.
Thank you.
Second.
Motion, did you get a second there, Madam Clerk? Very good. Please cast your votes.
The motion is approved, 4 ayes, 1 absent. Supervisor Gleason.
Thank you. We'll conclude our meeting today with an opportunity for the public to discuss anything with us, 2 minutes apiece to be able to give us your thoughts on any matter that's not otherwise on our agenda. Does anybody wish to make comment this afternoon? Okay, then we'll close for the day. I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Thank you. Without objection, so ordered. We'll see you next Tuesday.